When the wheels start turning at Hayes Engineering Works in Oturahua, watch out for fingers and toes. The factory at the former home of Ernest and Hannah Hayes was the birthplace of a raft of inventions. On operating days, local guide Ken Gillespie helps visitors discover the workshop.
I take people through with the works operating on a regular basis. This is where the Hayes manufacture first began in the late 1800s. Hayes are probably best known for their wire strainers and their windmills. And that goes to the hand wire strainer, which is still used today, and also the permanent wire strainer, which is mounted permanently on the fence.
A box of patterns returned to the site showed how industrious the factory was.
The box there, it came back from Hayes in Christchurch, from Les Hayes. He had no further use for them in Christchurch, so felt they should be back perhaps where they came from. The patterns were made here, a lot of them, by Les's father Lou. He was the pattern maker when they were here, and he would make the patterns here, send the patterns to the foundry, and Dunedin was the shipyard of New Zealand in the early days. To get the casting, you put the wooden pattern into a sand mould, and then you take the wooden pattern out of the sand mould and pour the casting into the sand mould.
Many innovations were developed at the factory.
You know, we can get a bit of snow here in the winter, and it's not much fun getting around in a vehicle in the snow. And they made up clamps to go around the solid rubber tyre wooden spoked rim. Put 3 or 4 of those around the wheel, and that got you around in the snow. So you put your tyre in here and tie it across the top, and that would keep it on the wheel, and that got you around in the snow, just like chains.
The site is unique as it remained largely unchanged, offering a fascinating insight into early 20th century production.
After the Hayes moved to Christchurch in 1952, Clive Hayes and Doug Smith remained on here and kept the works operational, albeit more for maintenance than manufacture. In the mid-1970s, Doug got to the point where he had to retire. He was past the point of staying by himself, and the place had to be sold, and we were very fortunate that the postmaster of the time, Mark Pothan, recognised the significance of the complex here and got in touch with John Daniels of, then it was Historic Places Trust in Wellington, and John came down and had a look and said, well, yeah, I think we can swing it, because the interest rates were high at that stage and they were operating on interest from investments. And here, Historic Places Trust bought it, which is now, of course, Heritage New Zealand. The advent of the Otago Central Rail Trail has, of course, put a lot more people coming through the area, and that's been the basis for establishing the cafe that we have now, and also has enabled Heritage New Zealand to put a lot more back in to this area to restore it back to what it was.
In Oturahua for the South Today.